saw someone was playing Doom on a tampon, but they cheated. It was just
on it.
It was a microcontroller
and
an LCD screen.
It was a pregnancy test.
You know,
a pregnancy test. Sorry. I have a tampon in my bag, and I've just been thinking about why I have it in there.
I just imagined. Welcome, my Super Agile Bros Nation. It's your boy, Braston. You already know what it is, who it is, what it be. Welcome to another episode.
Not where it is.
Not
is unknown to us.
Well, where it is in their hearts.
Undisclosed.
Undisclosed location in your hearts. But, yeah, you know, it's another episode of Super Agile Bros. It's going to be on and cracking. So, of course, I introduce the fellas, the brothers. Kyle, how are you doing today, sir? How are you doing?
Doing well. Glad to be here today.
Good to have you. And, of course, we have the indomitable Snowman, Steve himself. Thought I was going to go and do what he did. I was like, nah, I ain't got enough words in my vocabulary. Hey, Steve, how are you doing, sir?
You weren't ready. You didn't write them down like I did.
No.
Man, I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Good to hear that.
I saw a really great video of somebody saying like, "Oh, how's it going?" And then in his head, he's thinking about all the existential dread and like, you know, we're all born to die, and the universe hates us. And then it's like fractals and galaxies, and then it zooms out of his eyes, and he goes, "Oh, I'm all right." And that was the moment I had.
The human condition.
Ain't that the realest thing?
Feel that.
Do you have any blockers? But
there it is.
There we
the
go.
urethral condition.
Ooh. Pray for that. So, man, now I done lost my train of thought. But I will go ahead and talk about what we're going to talk about today. Our topic of the day. So, as many of you know, we are gamers, and as many of you probably listening are some form of gamer. I believe in you. And if you're not, today's a good day to start your journey. But anyway, we're going to be talking about console generations. And particularly, I have like a few different questions, but I want us to discuss like, are we in the last console generation? Is this it? Are we going to get a PS6 or is the PS5 done? Are we going to get an Xbox One XY Plus Alpha or
Alpha?
Are we done? Are we going to get a Nintendo Switch HD?
You know we're not.
Never. I can answer
Nintendo Switch U.
Oh, gosh. Oh, they're going to have the more dongles. Like
in Soviet Russia, Nintendo Switches U.
You're going to have like elbow kneecap controllers. Like, we at Nintendo want to try something new.
You have to bang your elbows on your knees. That's the gameplay.
To play Mario. And I bet you they'll have the best Mario game, and it'll be super fire.
Oh, it'll be so fire, dude.
And no 100%. Other game will be able to use the controls, but like this game.
My mom's asking, how do I drift again? Yeah, you just really crack your funny bone to get around that corner.
It's like they have like a warning, like, if you have ashy knees and elbows, please lotionize prior.
Lotionize.
We suggest you wear jeans or like leggings or something.
So this is kind of random. Speaking of lotionize, me and Shailene have been watching the like Defenders kind of series. So we watched like Jessica Jones, we watched Daredevil, and we just recently finished Luke Cage. And one of the characters in the show, he says, "I'll murderize everyone," in like out of nowhere. And I can't, like, you should watch the show because it's a good show. But like this particular character, it actually makes perfect sense. Like whoever wrote his lines was like, yeah, that's actually a word he would use. He's like, if they don't do what I say, I'll murderize everybody or something like that. And you're like, oh my goodness.
Is he like a
murderize
1980s gangster?
Essentially. I mean, maybe even the 70s vibe.
Say hello to my little murderizer.
He's got that vibe. So let's jump into the topic and let's not murderize this conversation any further. So, all right, let me ask y'all straight up. let me start with a general statement, and then we'll go into the topic. How do y'all feel about this particular generation of consoles? Like, where are you? Is it something you've been excited about? Something that's been like, whatever, it's good, but like, or like, man, this thing has been balling, popping off, da. Like, how do y'all feel about this generation?
Are we counting the Nintendo Switch in the current generation?
I think you kind of have to.
Yeah, because it is this generation, and like
it is the current.
Wait, when did it come out? It came out during the PS4 and the Xbox.
It was like 2017, I think.
Yeah, it's like 5 years ago now. Almost.
Yeah. So it's Nintendo works on its own generational scale.
Yeah, really.
So like this Nintendo Switch is like the Methuselah of this generation. Like it's gonna be 900. So yes, we'll count the Switch.
It's around.
Well, you know what? We won't count the Switch.
I was about to say, let's just ignore the Switch because I feel like it's not going to factor into any conversation going forward.
Yeah, because I think this generation, because every other console had another iteration, but Nintendo hasn't. So
they kind of disqualified themselves from this generation,
from this conversation. So yeah, what do you guys feel about this
Nintendo
console generation?
In a word, frustrating. I guess. So I was able to get a PS5, but that doesn't, in my opinion, detract from the fact that so many people are having issues getting one. Mm-hmm. And I can definitely, it seems like, maybe it's not, but it seems like it's also holding the generation back from like really digging into the next gen of games because it's just not available. Xbox, I guess they seem to be doing fine. I haven't really been keeping up with it because I'm just not, I guess it doesn't benefit me to, but I'm just kind of frustrated because I don't really see where we're going, and it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of momentum, a lot of setbacks and stuff. So I don't know.
Dang, that's dark, bro.
It's kind of the
talking about video games, not COVID. What's going on?
Hey, they're intertwined, man. It's all connected. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, Steve-O?
Man, and so all right, I'm excited for the new technology that has gone into controllers for the PlayStation. I noticed that Microsoft did not bother. Doesn't care about new controllers. They just basically had little miniature upgrades to everything. But yeah, like the adaptive triggers and more gyro aiming, I'm always a fan. I think that's cool. That's a little bit of that Nintendo magic, trying to, maybe not innovate since some of the stuff's been done already, but a little bit of innovation, a little bit of experimentation, some extra dimension to your video games. I think that's the way to move forward, is with, interesting control inputs, and that can lead to interesting mechanics. I am frustrated as well because it's been so hard to get. I'm frustrated, but mostly I'm just apathetic. I still have my PlayStation 4, which for a long time, the last couple of months, I was barely playing. But if I was more invested in PlayStation and if I was more invested in those new games, I would be frustrated because I haven't been able to get a PlayStation 5 yet. And it's not just me, obviously. It's like famously hard to get these new consoles. I think it's a little easier to get the new Xboxes, but I don't know anyone who cares, so I can't verify.
People I know that wanted to get Xbox, they've been able to get them.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I just feel like I'm ambivalent. There's not a lot of new games that have come out yet that you need a PlayStation 5 for, or a PlayStation 5 in order to play. And I still have a pretty big PlayStation 4 backlog. So, and even Elden Ring, like I really want to play Elden Ring. If I really wanted to, I could buy it now for the PlayStation 4 and have a really terrible experience. But let me say, it probably wouldn't be a really terrible experience. But I do have a PlayStation Slim.
Yeah, be careful.
It's probably I gotta be careful.
Elden Ring fans, they're like, if it's on a fridge, it's the best game of the year. Don't talk trash. Don't you talk no trash.
But in all seriousness, I'm not interested in playing it on my PlayStation Slim. I want all those beautiful pixels. But, I mean, I could if I really wanted to. So, like, there's not a lot of games that have come out that I feel the need.
Yeah, no, I can.
Speed.
I can feel both of y'all. I've been playing Elden Ring on my Tamagotchi, and I pretty much. No, I'm kidding. Pretty much
so hard, dude.
Skyrim.
Like,
I bet you Skyrim. Pixels. I bet you Skyrim is on. I know that somebody was telling me they were playing Skyrim on their, like on their Roku, not some type of like streaming,
like an Apple Play thing?
Yeah, some kind of streaming TV device.
The Fire Stick.
It might have been a Fire Stick. That sounds about right. And so
I saw someone was playing Doom on a tampon, but they cheated. It was just
on it.
It was a microcontroller
and
an LCD screen that they.
It was a pregnancy test.
You mean on a
pregnancy test? Sorry, I have a tampon in my bag, and I've just been thinking about why I have it in there.
I just imagined.
Electronic tampons.
I just imagined, hey Steve, can you go pick me up a tampon from the store?
Oh no. You would wrap it in like heavy metal starts playing.
Like, I need a pack. And Steve's like, oh man, she needs more than one. And he buys like 10 pregnancy tests. And I just imagine like the person at the counter being like, all right.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go play Doom on these.
That's it. Don't worry about it. It just calls the police. Like, I don't know what this guy's doing, but I think it's illegal.
It's probably illegal. I want to apologize to all our lady friends. That was a show of my ignorance.
Super Agile Sisters.
It was an honest mistake. I know what a tampon is. I know what a pregnancy test is. The point is, whoever did that was cheating. It wasn't actually running on a pregnancy test. It was just a microcontroller they stuffed into the shell.
Okay, so it's just on the display. They're just using the display, but
they used an LCD as well. So there was it was just in a pregnancy test, not even in a.
Still unplayable. Like, it looked
none of the
terrible.
original hardware was used.
Oh man, well that's something to know. Ladies, look out! Your pregnancy test might be in a GameStop near you. But anyway,
did we answer the question?
It was my turn technically, I guess.
Razor coming out with a line
of gamer
Alienware
gamer pregnancy test.
Sorry.
But anyway, so as far as how I feel about this generation, I would say that I'm not frustrated. I'm underwhelmed, and
yeah.
I feel like I'm not ambivalent because I really did want a PlayStation 5, but I wasn't really. I knew how much the effort it took to get one, and I wasn't like super interested in like overly trying. But because of this dude named Matt Swider or something, I can't remember his name. He's on Twitter. I just somehow stumbled upon his Twitter account where he tells you when PlayStation 5s are dropping, and I got really lucky one day and I got a PlayStation 5. So if anybody wants that knowledge, I will hand it on to you. It was the difference maker. But anyway,
I'm in the market.
Yeah. I mean, whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Wario 64, I think, is the other guy.
Yes. So there's a whole economy. Like that guy left his job. I think he was at Game Radar or something like that, and he would always say like, hey, I can't take donations for helping you because I work for Game Radar. And then he left, and now he's like, hey, I can take donations. So like his full-time job is now helping people get PS5s.
That's insane.
And as far as
what is he gonna do
after? I don't know. He'll probably get his job back at Game Radar.
Sustainable up to now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you. Please continue.
No. I mean, honestly, to me, I think the pandemic exacerbated all that, but I think overall, I honestly, I don't think I would have bought a PlayStation 5 when I did if it wasn't just because it was a commodity that I knew I'd never see again. And I just happened to be trolling the site and I got one,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Same.
So, to be honest, it just feels like this generation at least feels just like the old generation plus. So I feel like I have a PS4 plus, you know, just because, to be honest, the only game that I have played on my PlayStation 5 that might be a console exclusive to PS5 is the Overcooked, like all you can eat edition. But I don't think I've played any other games that are only on the PlayStation 5.
I know
I'm pretty sure that's
Overcooked
on
was
Switch, dog.
Yeah, Overcooked was definitely pushing the PS5 hardware, I'm sure.
Yes. I mean, the one thing that's like crazy about all of the things on PlayStation 5 is that they load so fast that like honestly, sometimes I'm like, I wish y'all would just pretend like y'all were loading. Just so I could see the loading screen for a second. Like it feels like it's glitching trying to go through loading screens sometimes. So
That's incredible.
It's a benefit, but like
it's a weird problem to have.
To be honest, how I feel about this generation in general is that I don't really know why it exists almost. Like, I get it. I get it because, you know, hey, like we got to push the hardware. Like honestly, from a graphical standpoint, like graphics don't really pull me in anymore. Like, I think once the Xbox 360 came out and maybe the PS4, like that was the last time that I really cared about graphics. Cause like at this point, I'm just happy with the game as long as it's good.
Do you care about performance?
So I think I shared this in one of the old episodes, but like since I kind of grew up playing like Age of like Guild Wars games on like basically what a fridge has as a GPU now, like growing up, like actually I feel like a fridge has a better GPU than,
probably
and CPU than like my computer did back in the day. But like I think I was talking about this. I used to have YouTube and like I thought that, you know, everybody else's YouTube ran at like 15 frames per second. You know what I'm saying? Like, So to me, performance has never been an issue. It's never been a thing that matters to me. It's just if the game works. Like, as long as my inputs work and I don't feel like I'm getting gypped, then I'm happy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So the only advantage I feel like this generation has is that you can have more people on screen, like enemies, and the draw distance is better, and the load times are quicker. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's just underwhelming, you know? I mean, what did y'all expect? Like, when the new generation was even coming, what were your expectations? Did you guys have any expectations? Like,
that's a great question.
I feel like our expectations were already set because everybody was clamoring. Everyone wants 4K. Everybody wants 60 FPS.
Ray tracing.
A
lot of buzzwords this generation.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. It's a buzzword generation. Although, I don't know, man. Maybe they're always buzzword generations.
They're always.
We
probably
just weren't part of the buzzwords until now.
Always buzzwords. Always.
I guess they were all like around fidelity this time. Which, I mean, again, still, even in the past generations, most developers would boast, oh, look at how many polygons this has and what we can render. So I guess, all things considered, it hasn't really changed much as far as what their priorities are whenever they are marketing these things.
Yeah. And I feel like with the E3 more or less being de-emphasized, I feel like you don't get that, like you said, like it's like games are always being talked about now. Like all the new games are always being talked about. So there's no like, oh my goodness, the PS5, like, oh my goodness, they're gonna have all this. It's like you already knew the specs. You already knew what it looked like. You already, you know, and then like, so it has felt kind of like, I don't want to say I said underwhelming already, but like not exciting, you know? It's just like, oh, it's just another computer, you know, another version, you know, like, So I don't know. In this generation, I don't know if I had any expectations. I honestly I think I was happy with my PS4, so I don't really know. Like, I don't know what they could have brought to the table that would have excited me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe it was a bad time because I just built a PC. And I built it with mostly gaming in mind. And I like to think that I have modest demands. You know, I'm trying to play on my 1440p monitors. I don't care about 4K. I want to have like high frame rates, preferably above 60. But like, so first of all, I have moderate needs, right? I don't need, I guess I could probably hit 4K if I was willing to go to like stay at 60 at best and less than that probably. But I prefer not to do that. The other issue is that I have this other machine now that plays games. So I'm kind of not as thirsty for console games because I have, a game comes out on multiple platforms and I have to ask myself, like, do I want this on the PlayStation?
Yeah.
Or do I want it on the PC? Sometimes it goes back and forth, but I haven't really, like I said, I haven't really been thirsty for new hardware. Partially because this was very expensive. For me, I'm a young adult. I haven't made very many large purchases. And the new PlayStation is like $500. And I'm like, it's certainly doable, but it's not something I'm willing to spend on a whim. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's a fair point. And to your point earlier, I guess, about not being, excited. Yeah, I consider myself somebody who gets spoiled pretty easily when it comes to things. And so you made me think of, like, before the PS5, I might be wrong about this, but they did a hardware reveal type thing. Was that with the PS5? Where they showed, I guess, everything that was running on it before they even released the console. And then, they have done all these demos and they market games to death now. And I think it's taken a similar, or I think all marketing kind of has taken a downturn as far as what they're willing to spoil to kind of get you to buy in. And for me, it's almost having the inverse effect where I see too much. And so I'm not willing to invest because I feel like there's nothing for me to purchase now. It's like there's no mystery. So what am I supposed to get excited about?
That's really weird. I disagree. When it comes to like movies and books and stuff, that's how I feel. But for the games, I'm like, I want to see more. Maybe don't show me like tons of story spoilers, but show me mechanics, show me the world, show me what I'm in for. I don't want to play a game. I don't want to buy a game based on like the mystique of the trailer. Like if it's a movie, I love mystique, but I don't want to buy a game and then realize like, oh, I don't like this at all. Like, ugh.
Yeah,
especially if I bought a digital rip,
Yeah.
I think I feel like I fall maybe more on Kyle's side with I do wish there was a little bit more mystique, because I think growing up as a kid, like, for example, one of my favorite trailers of all time was Zelda's not Phantom Hourglass. Oh my goodness, I can't remember. This is what happens when I'm
Spirit Tracks.
No,
Phantom Hourglass.
Came with the Wii when it first dropped. No,
Twilight Princess.
Yes, thank you, Twilight Princess. And
that was a guess.
No, thank you.
Right.
This is my brain. Like when I actually need to recall information, it's like no, thank you. But Twilight Princess, and I knew what a Zelda game normally had to offer, but I loved how it just showed me little pieces, just a little bit, not enough. Like, oh, there's a new weapon, kind of, sort of, maybe. Oh, there's a new story, kind of, sort of, and it made me excited because it allowed me to use my imagination of what was to come, right? And I feel like I'm definitely a person who personally enjoys envisioning. Like, I know it'll never live up to my expectations, but there's something more exciting about waiting for the game to arrive. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I can't wait to play the game. I can't wait to play the game. And then, because normally playing it rarely does it, like, is it as great, but I think I just miss anticipation in general,
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't consider, so for something like Legend of Zelda, which is a tried and true IP with generally the same mechanics.
Generally, yeah. And
that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I feel the same way about games like Legend of Zelda, about Super Mario even. Like, I'm fine. I don't need to see more. You're right. But for like new IPs, for Anthem,
I wish they'd
less
show me
mystique,
less.
the better.
I wish they'd show me less because I would have known it was. I would have not known that it was a scam. I would have been like, "Oh, this game looks interesting," but the more I saw about it, the more I was like, "Oh, this is obviously an NFT game." So.
Are all microtransaction games NFT, or sorry, live service games?
Yes,
NFT games.
It's just the natural progression, right?
It really is. Yeah,
that's a shame.
So, go ahead, Kyle.
I'm considering, I guess. So, in line of anticipation and like knowing less about a game, I'm trying to consider if I would prefer. And I pitched this question to you guys too. If I prefer to know less about a game, buy it, and then be disappointed, versus know too much about a game that I was excited about, and then not even experience it. What's worse?
I think buying it and being disappointed is worse because then you've spent $60.
I think
and you've wasted your time.
Interesting. I think I'm the opposite. I'm kind of the person that enjoys stumbling into something and then just getting like, maybe it's for example, like me and Shailene have been watching these random baking shows, and we recently watched on Netflix the show called like The King of Chocolate or School of Chocolate, and there's no way if somebody showed me the trailer for that show, I would never watch it because I'm like, this is the stupidest thing ever. But we were just bored, and I just randomly clicked on something. I was like, because we'd been watching that show Is It Cake? So it started just suggesting.
Can we just pause for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
Is It Cake is is a surprisingly excellent show.
Yes, surprisingly.
It's wholesome. It's fun to watch. Everyone's having a blast with each other.
And there's cake.
There's no drama. There's tons of gorgeous looking cake.
But is it cake though?
Well, when we see that it's cake. And I think Mikey does a great job. And and something else. Oh, I guess maybe it's just me. I feel like the way that the game show is set up is very satisfying. Like, oh, this is the mechanics, and it has some sort of symmetry. Maybe that's just me. Maybe all game shows are excellent.
I think it's one of those shows that, like, honestly, like, I was like we saw what's trending, and Shailene's big into the British baking show, the Great British Baking Show or something. The one where like people,
the Great British Bake Off.
Not that one. It's a different one. But
it's the same show, but it's rebranded for the US.
No, it's not. It's the British version, but it's not the Great British Bake Off. It's something else. Oh. There's all these different shows. But anyway, so I know she's into it, so we just kind of was like, let's just watch it, and we had a great time. I'm telling you this, School of Chocolate was so good because first of all, the dude who's running the school is an absolute genius. Like, you meet some people, you know, like some people are good at stuff. Like, this man is truly a master of chocolate. A
visionary.
A vision. Like, truly, he's doing stuff. Like, literally, the people who are in the show who are like learning from him and competing for the prize, you know, and he's the judge more or less, are like, oh my goodness. Like, they're like,
he's a chocolate wizard.
Like, literally, like their face, that face you make when you're just like, bro, how are you doing this? And these are all professionals, you know? So anyway, that's a super side tangent. Maybe we should do a whole episode on like random baking shows. But, you know, the reason I like it is because, like, I love being surprised in a way. Like, even a mediocre game can sometimes surprise you with something little that they've done. You know, like some little small small thing. Like Bug Snacks, for example. Bug Snacks is not the best game I've ever played in my life. It is not a 10 out of 10. It's not an Elden Ring in any capacity. But it's a game that if I had seen a lot about it, I would have been like, oh, I got everything I needed from it. But I feel like experiencing a game, like not knowing much about it and just being like, oh, this intrigues me. Like playing it and being like, wow, like this is different. Like I would just recommend it for the experience, not because the game is like all that great, you know?
Okay. But the question that wasn't the question. The question was, would you rather be disappointed after you bought a game for the mystique, or would you rather just miss out on a game that looked good at first, but you no longer have mystique?
I'd rather be disappointed.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think I'd rather have the experience of disappointment, and then I have something to talk about than not experiencing anything and just being like, oh, I never played X game. I never played Elden Ring. You know, like, what does that add to my life? But saying like, man, I played Armorines. That game is trash. that's an interesting conversation that can.
I guess that's fair. My thinking is that there's just too many actually good games, right? Like, I should, in theory, be able to live a life where all the games I play are bangers, specifically tailored to my taste. Because my taste is vague enough, and there's so many, baby. And there's so many ridiculous amount of games, buku games out there, that I should be able to do that. But I guess you're right. I do specifically like make playlists with music that I'm not in love with, so that I can have some like variation in how excited I am when a song comes on. Well, so maybe I should have that mentality for games too.
Let me rephrase the question a little bit. Just to not that I think you should change your mind or anything, but I just wonder.
No, you think I should change my mind?
No, I'd like to see what you think about this. What if I told you that you would never play let's see, Hades, for example. Like, you get to learn a lot about Hades, but you never play it. You know, like, or would you rather like learn about a game? I don't know. What's the last trash game that you played? Like, if you think of one,
Borderlands 3.
Borderlands 3. Yeah. Say you didn't know much about Borderlands 3, but you did play it. Like, I just feel like the experience of like losing the opportunity to play a game that is great, that you would never have in your life, versus playing a game that is bad that you kind of wish wasn't in your life. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. I wouldn't want to miss out on Hades, but I wonder if I would miss out on Hades, because the question was like a game that you don't play because it lost its mystique because you learned too much. But I'm like, pretty sure I still would have played it the more I learned about the game. There wasn't, well, I don't know, maybe there was mystique when I started, but...
Yeah, just imagine if every PlayStation State of Play and every Jeff Keighley game show announcement, they talked about Hades, and then you're like, I'm not gonna check it out. You
you've already played it.
Yeah, like, and I'm not gonna spend $60 on a game I've already played. Once again, this is alternate reality. This is not the reality.
Yeah. It's a hard question. You have raised a decent point.
I mean, and Kyle, what did you say? Yeah, I never think I heard.
So yeah, I'd be on the side of prefer to be disappointed, but I guess maybe for a little bit different of a reason. So in most cases, I guess even when I feel like I've learned a lot about a game, I still kind of go back and forth, because a lot of times it's still shrouded in whoever is showing me the game or presenting the game, playing the game, like their opinions. So either they're talking about it, or the way that they play it influences how they experience it, and then they reflect that, they project that onto me, and then that influences my decision. And so I think that takes the ability away from me to, maybe they didn't like the game, maybe a lot of people don't like the game, but maybe I still would. Getting too much information up front could keep me from enjoying a game that most people don't like, because I think there's plenty of what's considered like hidden gems in games in general, and a good bit of those fall into the category of majority of people just simply don't care for them for whatever reason, but it doesn't make the game bad necessarily, and or maybe it just flopped because it got overshadowed by something else, when the release dates, all these different variables of the reasons why I guess the game would have got garnered or even been represented in a less positive light that would, make me consider not playing it. Considering all those things, I still prefer to know less and be disappointed.
Well, let me rephrase the question, I guess. So think about from consoles. Does your opinion change? Like, would you rather know less about a console and be disappointed, or know a lot about it and not buy it? Like,
So that, I feel like that makes you ask the question, what about a console draws you in?
Yeah.
Like, what mystery or mystique is there about a console? Like, oh, what are the graphics like? I mean, what kind of mystery are you talking about here?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just more posing the question is like, and I think you're right in the sense that what you're saying is like, what makes you buy a console, right? Like let's go, like for me, for example, going back to the PS4 versus, I think the one, I don't even know what their stupid name for their stupid systems.
Yeah,
one
it
of
was
the
the one.
Xboxes.
Series 1, who knows? But I'm just playing, I'm being stupid. But I mean, for me, it was just purely like, there's one part of like, will this have games that I want to play on it? Right?
Yeah.
Like the software sells the hardware. And then also, do I feel like they have a vision for this generation that I won't regret, you know? And I think for me, when I decided to get my PS4, because I was pretty much decided I was going to stick with Xbox because I loved my 360 so much. Like, and I played, you know, the PlayStations in the past, but I never thought I would buy a PlayStation. But like the moment I saw Microsoft's like mindset, like of what they were really doing, like I didn't really think they cared about me as a gamer. I said, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with them. You know, like I'll play their games if they show up in some other capacity, but I'm not going to invest in this thing, this $500 system, you know, to be later hurt, you know? So for me, that's
the disc thing when they were making it to where you couldn't share discs.
That and
it was the always online,
and you couldn't bring your disc to another system.
Discs were NFTs.
Yes, they were exactly. If it's NFT based, I want nothing to do with it. So yeah, that's kind of how I make my decisions for a console. How about y'all?
Small disclaimer: we all know that's not what an NFT is. It's just a joke. Don't get mad, readers, listeners.
They're typing in the comments right now.
Carry on, please carry on.
Angry.
So I would say my influences for purchasing consoles, probably number one, software, and then number two, who else has the console? Because most gaming I do now in the last decade has had a strong focus on multiplayer. So if all my friends had bought an Xbox, I would probably have an Xbox right now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm similar. I how do I put this? I think that I focus mostly on coverage of the games I'm most likely to want to play. So I don't care about Microsoft Flight Simulator, right? So I'm not really trying to prioritize that, but out of all the games I'm likely to play, I'm most likely to be interested in PlayStation games. Further, a lot of Xbox games are also available on Steam.
True.
So I'm kind of like, I could get a PlayStation, have a PC, buy a Nintendo Switch, and have almost all of my bases covered.
Yeah.
You know? And then what Kyle said is also important. Some games don't like cross-platform play, so I would have to get the console that helps me play with my buds the most. And not just the console, but the online service, right? Because you need a Switch, you need a service now for Switch too. You need one for PlayStation and one for Xbox, and I'm not trying to buy all those. You don't need one for PC because PC is a master. But yeah, so I think that I want to stick with my current setup, which is a PlayStation, a Nintendo, and a PC, and cover as much of my bases as I can like that. And I'll miss out on
the Xbox side.
I mean, yeah, I play Gears with my friends online. I don't really know anything on the Xbox that I'm missing out on.
So I said this a few years ago, and I bet you nobody was listening to me. I'm telling you, I knew it was coming.
I was right. You laughed at me.
A long time ago, I said right when they were dropping all the consoles and the controversy happened, I was just thinking about Microsoft as a company in general. And one thing that I've noted, and one thing that has been explicitly said, is that Microsoft is about the idea of like ecosystem building, not necessarily like any particular hardware or particular software per se. Their goal is to get you inside their ecosystem.
Their service,
right? And this is something that they've been preaching, I guess you could say, for a long time. You know, one of my favorite stories is Bill Gates was asked about, you know, people in China pirating Microsoft software, you know, and he just simply said, that's fine, because 5 years from now, they're all, you know, all these kids are going to grow up using our products. Companies are going to start, you know, integrating Microsoft products into their, you know, into their companies.
It was Windows. It was Windows itself.
Yeah, it was Windows, you know, and he was like, and then one day I'll drop the DRM hammer and then they'll pay me, you know, because they don't want to start over. And I was like, yo.
Every government in the world.
Bro, this man is like, he's thinking ahead.
He's playing chess.
Exactly. You know, and I feel like that's how the Xbox was. I think they entered the market because they saw an opportunity and they were like, oh, like hardware. I mean, I think Microsoft likes hardware in general. Like they're, you know, they're not adverse. But then they realized, oh, like we're really more about acquisitions than we are about like creating a whole new thing. And then once they started losing kind of more, like once the competition heated up in the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 era, and then they messed up a little bit with their launch. And then they started what was called like Games by Microsoft or whatever it was, that service, like where you could like all your games started saving in the cloud, and they were trying to like start it on the 360 or whatever. I was like, it's over. Their whole goal is to get completely out of consoles. Their goal is just to get you back to just using their ecosystem. And the console is just, because at the end of the day, like how different in their mind is the Xbox 360 or the Xbox One or whatever hardware from a general PC. They're probably aligning everything with that. And as we see now, pretty much at the end of the day, why do you need an Xbox when you could just get a computer, you know?
They know that, yeah. That's why I don't even bother with the naming convention.
And here's the thing, right? I'll buy Microsoft games on Steam, and I would even go so far as to pay for Game Pass if it supported Linux. But it doesn't, so I won't.
Give it time.
And there's even some games that I'll still buy, maybe, if I really, really, really want them, like Halo Infinite or something. But like... I mean, a lot of any game that doesn't support Linux, even with all the work that Steam is doing, I'm not going to buy, because I'm trying to minimize the number of times I go into Microsoft's world. But yeah, I mean, I would do that. I would even pay for their subscription if they just gave a little bit more care to me, but they don't.
Directly to Steve.
Just a Steve edition of every game.
The Steve Pass.
The Steve Pass.
Steve Pass. It's half the price of the Game Pass, and it only has anime games.
Dating sims.
And you know,
it only has dating sims, yeah.
And you know what's funny? Like you guys were mentioning this earlier, like how like it's hard to get a PS5, and technically it's difficult to get an Xbox or whatever. But like I've heard of almost nobody who's been trying to get an Xbox who doesn't have one. I just honestly just think it's demand. Like, people aren't interested in buying Xbox because why? Like, what do you get for it?
Yeah.
You know, like, there's nothing. Like, yes, Game Pass is the one thing that everybody's talking about is awesome and incredible. But once again, like you said, you can get it on PC. Like, I just don't see any benefit to...
not for us, but for people. So people don't have a nice computer. That is their PC.
But it's kind of like, okay, I need to choose a console that I know is going to drop like solid console games. Like, it's just like, it's muddying the water. And it's just like if the Switch started porting all their games to the PC or something, like, I just feel like the quality of game would go down, you know, like now you're like targeting two different like things instead of like really making a game that works really well for one platform, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I mean, I'm gonna be real. If Smash Bros was ported to the PC, I would probably buy it again and play on PC.
Oh, it'd be so much better of an experience, right? At least the
Online.
online. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, heck, I have half a mind to download a Switch emulator because they're getting pretty good, and just emulate the games that I own. But that's a lot of work, and I have half a mind, not a whole mind, so I'm probably not gonna do that for a while.
Just half.
But I think
Just half.
there's also like the benefit of the Switch being like portable, right? Like,
Well,
just-
I would keep the Switch,
you know.
but I would mostly not use the Switch.
yeah.
I in the last year, 2 years, people I know that I've played consoles with, or played on console with, or known that I've known that have had consoles. A lot of them are buying PCs, even if it's just, or I'd say PCs, but gaming computers, even if it is, just a laptop to get started or something. But it seems like overall, a lot of people are making the shift, the transition, especially because of things like Game Pass and Steam, just how accessible they are. So as long as, I guess, exclusives exist on these other consoles, I'm sure they'll still be around. But I think overall, if I think Nintendo ever making the transition to allowing their software on PC is going to be a long shot. But to be honest, I thought that about them being on mobile too. So I think it's only a matter of time now.
But the mobile games are completely different experiences, right? Like they're like,
they are.
Like it would be like Sony dropping, Ratchet and Clank on mobile, but it's like a different game, right? Like it's, it's not
that's true,
sport, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I kind of feel like they may try, if that makes sense. Like games like PUBG and Fortnite, games in that where super popular games have been ported to mobile. So
I could see maybe like Pikmin coming out on mobile.
They did just release a Pikmin game. It's not the actual Pikmin game.
No, I mean the actual Pikmin game, not that garbage.
I think it would work well on mobile, to be honest. Yeah. It is hot garbage. I tried playing it. It's terrible.
I think my problem with, like, first of all, I'm a console gamer first and foremost. I shout out to our boy Yandev, right?
Yandev.
We threw the question out there, like our topic for today, into the Discord. Shout out to Steve for doing that. And
I'm right here. That's a shout out.
and something he said was, he was just saying, like, he doesn't think this is the last generation consoles, but he said, plus the console advantage over gaming PC is a lower entry price.
Ooh.
And though I think that PC hardware, gaming laptops, gaming, PCs in general, the lower end is now able to play more. You know what I'm saying? Just in general, like, chips and all that stuff. We're like at that generation. But 100%, I think that's like it, like the lower entry price. And I don't even necessarily mean cost, I don't know if Yandev was going this way, but I don't think just cost is a lower entry price. I also just think access to like actually playing your game, right? Like this is something we've talked about in other episodes where you try and play a game on your PC and because of your weird chipset and your, what your computer's GPU, CPU, whatever causes some weird issue for a game. And you spend like 3 hours trying to find some weird patch online or some weird command line thing to fix the issue or what settings turn it off. But when you get a console, it's going to work, right? Like for the like 99% of the time.
Right.
They're basically consoles give developers a specific template to fit inside of, and you as a gamer are jumping into that template so it's going to work. Yeah.
A lot of confidence.
That's huge, actually. That's something I hadn't thought of until you mentioned it. It's like if consoles go away, I'm sure developers will deal somehow, but there's going to be a lot of people complaining like, oh, this isn't like if consoles just became, if like cheap PCs replaced consoles like that, you would probably see a lot of people complaining about compatibility issues. And you're right.
Yeah, they're not standardized.
That brings up an interesting question. I was about to bring this up. What do you guys think about the Steam Deck as a console?
I don't think of it as a console.
Why not?
I just think that like it's let me pass it off on you guys because like my thoughts are complex. What do y'all say? And then I'll come back around.
So I think it's in that middle ground. As far as consoles, I think it's closer to a console than like your standard PC is. The portability, I guess, lends itself to that. I feel like it's a glimpse, maybe, into what the actual console developers will try to do in light of the Switch's success. Because Nintendo, if nothing else, has just every time they come up with another portable console, they just show just how vast the market is for it. And PlayStation and Microsoft really aren't tapping into it. And I think the Steam Deck has shown a lot of us just, I guess, how far the Switch could have gone when they made it,
right,
from a hardware standpoint, as well as accessibility. You know, being able to access your Steam library on a portable console is massive. Oof. So being able to do that with Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation PC or whatever is about to come out, PlayStation Plus even, or is it now? You know, those on those portable consoles, whether or not you want to call them consoles, I think that'll be the huge next step they take.
Yeah. Like, this is my thinking, right? The Steam Deck comes in at a palatable entry price, like a console does.
How much is it?
It's standardized and hardware, and there's definitely room for people to tinker and screw with stuff, but it all is, the software is also more or less standardized, so you're not going to have as many compatibility issues. Aside from the fact that you are playing games that weren't, you're playing games that were not meant for this, but you're playing them through software that has that in mind. So in theory, especially over time, it should be pretty much a native experience. It goes on your TV. It's portable, whatever you want. So it has all the same things that a Switch does. How else is it a console?
I think another thing that made the
it's not just portable, not just good entry. Sorry, not just accessible from an entry price, but also accessible from like a new price, right? Like you don't have to be a tinkerer. You don't have to install a bunch of stuff. You just turn the thing on, sign into your account, and download some games, which is how a console works.
I think another thing that kind of bridges that gap is in recent years, like the connotation was if you're playing on PC, you have to use mouse and keyboard. But in line with accessibility, the majority of games now, they support some sort of gamepad. And so for the Steam Deck to have, it to be a functioning controller of sorts also brings it more into the console space.
So this is kind of where I wanted to, before I made my thoughts, I wanted to just do a quick look to just make sure I wasn't too crazy about what I was thinking. So, I was thinking about it from a game development standpoint, right? I said, okay, if I'm developing for the Switch or for the PS5, PS4, whatever, you tend to have like, a target, right? What the hardware and stuff like that, but you also, there's all these different limitations, like a game, like, you can, game development software, like say Unity, right? It lets you publish to all these different platforms, but they all have different caveats, right? Like, hey, this, we can't do this, we do this, our controller does this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And So I said, okay, I wonder if they have a SDK or a software development kit, number one, which I assume they did. And then I wondered if they had a development kit, like, hey, we're going to send you a device, like a development specific device that you can work on. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I think they do give you some type of, you might be able to get the hardware, right? In a developer mode kind of thing. But even the way they describe it, right? So I'm on their site. I'm looking at the Steamworks documentation, which is the developer site. And it says Steam Deck is a next generation handheld gaming device. And I think they don't even necessarily see themselves as a console. They just see themselves as like, hey, we're a device that plays Steam games. And sure, you can target us because our specs are standardized. But like at the end of the day, if you publish it to PC, it'll work on our console. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that's, it's like a hybrid, but I don't think it's a console where a console is like, hey, like we are one specific thing. You can only really target us. I mean, of course you can target other things, but we have particular things that we can only do. Our controller only does this, blah, 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 blah. It just feels like what they did was they created a computer that they could put in a small thing, the smallest form factor computer they could possibly economically produce at a mass scale. And they put a screen on it that would look good enough that people wouldn't complain. And then they were like, cool, this'll work. You know what I'm saying? Also, it can't be too heavy, you know? So I don't feel like it's a console. I just think it's like, it honestly just feels like a Kickstarter to me, you know? Like,
I don't think those are mutually exclusive, but okay.
What you said made me think of these channels where the guys they'll take apart a Wii and put it inside of a Game Boy, and then make a portable Wii.
Yes, and it's still a Wii console, right? Inside of a portable form factor. This just to me feels like a PC in a portable form factor. It's not a
that's literally what it is. I would never argue otherwise. I just mean, I guess what I was saying was that in all the ways that matter, especially in terms of this conversation, it seems like it checks all the boxes as, oh, this is a console. It does these things. It has these pros compared to to a PC, the same pros that consoles have. And sure, it has fewer cons, right? Like it is part PC. You can publish to it without necessarily needing to publish directly to it. But like, I don't think that takes away from its consoliness. I think that just adds to its PC-ness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think
you're right. It's a hybrid.
I just think that like fundamentally, like nobody's saying like we're making a Steam game. A Steam Deck game. No, they're making a PC game that can run on the Steam Deck. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
I mean, for now, no, but
yeah, and that's cool for now. But like I'm just saying that that's not what they're doing. Like they're sure as a developer you can target it, but I don't think you'll ever like personally. I don't think you're going to see a developer who only targets the Steam Deck. Like you're not going to see Steam Deck exclusive games. You're not going to, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll see Xbox.
Well, they won't be exclusive. That doesn't mean they don't target the device.
I mean, that's what that's what I was saying. Like there'll be games that are targeting the device because it'll be one of the outputs. Oh, do you want to have a PC form factor and a Steam Deck form factor? You know, hey, now you can view it in this type of scale so you can see what it looks like on the Steam Deck. Sure, awesome. But like, you're not going to see somebody saying like, oh, we made a game exclusively for the Steam Deck that utilizes the Steam Deck's hardware to do something that can't be done on another console without us making limitations. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like the consoles have always, the thing that's made them different is that like their hardware, like the games can be made with the specific hardware in mind in a way that can't be replicated easily. That's why, like, I don't think you port games to Steam Deck more or less. You just published it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but like, I just think fundamentally it's just not. I don't think it falls into a console because I don't think it even considers itself a console. You know, like.
I mean, you're right. It clearly doesn't. I guess it was just. It's just a I guess a hypothetical question, but what you just said about consoles having specific qualities and benefits, like that's not really the case. Nintendo has a few features that make their games hard to port to other games, but like PlayStation barely has anything, right? They have adaptive triggers now. Ooh. And Xbox literally has nothing special about, like, Xbox games are just like that. They're meant to be played on the Xbox or on the PC. So I get what you're saying. You're saying like there's not anything about the Steam Deck that, or no one's going to take advantage of the Steam Deck specific features, but you have to also remember that other consoles don't have specific features to take advantage of.
I mean, I definitely can feel you on that. I mean, number one, I just think that the Xbox is not going to exist in the future. I think fundamentally, since the 360, their whole goal has been to just make themselves a software company and not a hardware company.
No, I think you're probably right. So, I'm just saying right now.
But I think PlayStation, for example, like, the fact is, like, a game company, when they're making their game, they don't target how they make their graphics, how they, like what type of things they put in their game are all specific to the PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know if I can't put too many polygons in this way because it'll affect the performance in this way. Like, it's very, like, developers are very much thinking about the ins and outs of a console in order to make it the best experience. But I feel like, with a PC, they're just like, hey, son, you can have super ultra high definition graphics, or, like, it's just a settings thing. Like, they don't care what you have, they're just like, have fun. And then they'll have a Steam Deck setting. Sure, have fun. Like, it's just, so.
I will say that one thing that makes the Steam Deck less console-y, at least when it's docked, is that there's not a canonical controller. Like, when you're holding it handheld, it is the controller, but there's not like a Pro controller or a PS4 Steam Deck controller.
But don't they have a Steam?
Which is great.
Yeah, what
which
happened
is great
to the
because
Steam controller? Everyone's favorite.
No one, you can't even buy those anymore. That's not. I'm glad that you brought that up because it made me laugh. But no, that's not.
They don't believe. They don't even believe in themselves.
They really don't. They discontinued that junk so fast.
Immediately.
Well, I won't say fast, but so
it was embarrassing.
So strongly.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to break out my Steam controller recently, and I realized I don't know where the dongle is, and I'm like, crap.
Oh,
I gotta find it.
It's like the Ouya of controllers.
No, it's way better than Ouya. I played Metroid Prime on a Steam controller.
That's your fault. Don't blame me.
I'm not blaming you. I'm saying it was great. It was fun.
You're welcome.
I mean, I'm going to continue to complain about the Steam Deck, but I mean, personally, it's just, to me, the people who seem to be interested in Steam Decks are the people who are PC master race. That's it. Like, I don't hear any console person like, man, I'm super excited about the Steam Deck, because I don't think they see it as anything other than just a mini PC, like whatever.
What are the benefits?
I think that's just a question of marketing and penetration, though. Like, right now, the only people who have them are the ones who pre-ordered them when they went up like a year ago or something.
Snap. So they haven't sold it.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it doesn't have a launch. Like, it's just like, hey, here's another SKU of our hardware. So like, it just doesn't, to me, feel like they even take themselves seriously. But anyway, I'm not trying to.
I think it'll catch on big outside of the master race community.
It hit me in a similar way, like when the OLED Switch was launched or revealed. Like, I couldn't find, just, I guess, as a basic consumer, if you will, I couldn't find enough reasons for me to invest in something that does something I recently bought already does everything that this new version does.
Sure. I mean, you and I are in positions of power. We have all the hardware already, which is why the OLED Switch is terrible buy if you already have a Switch. Even if your Switch is broken like mine, it's not worth it.
It doesn't work. Still don't buy a new one.
The man who has an external fan. I'm like, bro, get you a new Switch.
Bro, I was playing Smash Bros. I've been playing Smash online again, just a little bit here and there.
1,000 degrees.
I was playing Smash Bros. And I was whooping up on a Sephiroth, and this thing overheated mid combo,
Get you an
I'm
OLED
like-
Switch. You are the literal person they're targeting.
Yeah.
Your old Switch
Target
is
consumer.
like not working.
No,
Get you a new one.
they're not targeting me unless they sell me a cheaper Switch that isn't a garbage Switch Lite.
Fair.
Handheld only.
Anyway.
Baby.
Oh, but I was just gonna say, like, I think overall, this is the thing. Like, I think that like any console, they're targeting I don't want to say the casual audience, but like the general audience. That's how I feel about it. Like, yeah, as much as we talk trash about the Switch OLED, like you said, a new Switch consumer will probably get the OLED because it's the newest version, right? Like back in the day when the new PS4, what was it called, Pro, came out.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted a Pro, but I couldn't justify getting a Pro because I already had a PS4 that worked. But if I was new to the market, I'd get a Pro. I just don't see the Steam Deck being like. I just feel like it doesn't, like, it's not competing. It's not like, hey, like, get you a Switch, get you a PS5, get you an Xbox Series, whatever, get you a Steam Deck. I just think the Steam Deck is like, hey, like, if you have money, you're gonna get a Steam Deck. If you don't, you're never gonna get a Steam Deck. That's kind of how I feel about it.
I mostly disagree. I think if anything, it's just a little bit nerdy. It feels nerdy to own a Steam Deck. It's a gadget.
I think it's the Linux of like.
I think
other than of video game systems. Like, Linux is a great option, but normal people don't mess with Linux. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I think it'll catch on. We'll see. We'll see in a few years.
We should bet on this. I want to bet on this live on
Smash 2020. Are you ready? Because you lost the last one.
First of all, I lost Smash 2020. I wasn't concerned about that. This one, like, I like.
Yes, you were. You were in.
I wasn't concerned.
No.
About
I'm a trash talker by nature. It doesn't matter if I'm a win or lose. So I'm gonna talk trash because that's just my job, right? But
I'm pretty sure you put money on this trash.
Yeah, I put money that I wasn't with.
Haven't
like,
seen it.
Did you see me put $100 on it? Did you see me put? I put like $15 or something. Like, something I was like, whatever.
It was 20.
Yeah,
is it?
20.
You try to double or nothing. Me too. Bro.
That's what I'm saying. To me, it's like whatever. Like, I'm more or less trying to cause problems. That's honestly how I felt about Smash Bros. I was honestly just trying to get Steve hot and bothered and upset.
It worked.
And it worked. So
did it? All right. Yeah.
Steam.
I spectated the whole thing. Oh, it got pretty heated. It was great.
You're talking so much crap, Kyle.
It did. I'm telling you, I had no skin in the game because I knew I wasn't going to buy the game on launch. I just was going to play other people's stuff, right? But I watched.
It was ready to mooch.
He really was. He still doesn't own it.
No, I own it. I own it now. I never played.
Didn't even own a Switch.
I don't even have any DLCs. I tried to play the stupid what's the stupid thing? The story
World of
mode?
Light.
Yeah, just so I could get the music. And once they took me to that like next set of heaven level, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this no more. The weird sky world. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, let's make some kind of bet about the Steam Deck. Like, I just don't think we're going to see the Steam Deck do anything. I think it's going to has as much market penetration as like VR to some degree. Like, it's just going to be people who have it. But you're not going to see people playing it. You're not going to be like, hey, bro, let's play on our Steam Decks. Like, it's not going to happen. You're not going to have Steam Deck friends. It's just going to be like,
get your Steam Deck link cable.
Your link cable.
So what, you want to go by like sales?
Yes, the problem is I don't feel like I could say like numbers because I don't think about it. But I don't know. We can use Kyle as the litmus test or something. Like, he can.
No, we can't use Kyle.
Yes, Kyle is a pretty like he's not on my side or your side.
No, I'm a neutral party in your endeavors.
He truly is.
You're neutral in word, but like there's all sorts of biases. This is unscientific as heck.
Okay, to me, it's just simple as this: the Steam Deck will not get any like market. Like, maybe we'll come back to this, but like, I don't think it's gonna get more than like 5% at the best of market penetration in its lifetime. Like,
lifetime.
Like,
wait, what? Okay.
But once again, this is
we'll talk. We'll talk more. We'll nail down a specific metric.
Like this
in the
is,
Discord.
Right,
me just saying that it's going to be like as much market penetration as VR is. That's kind of how I feel about it. We'll figure out that number later. So anyway,
Steam Deck and VR and VR are going to blow up in 2024.
I guess I'll be eating my hat, you know. But I'm gonna have I'm gonna buy more hats and I'll eat all of them.
If VR goes off, if VR pops off in the next few years, then it'll be even easier for you to win.
True.
The goalpost moves.
Yeah, I don't think VR is gonna do nothing either. I think they're gonna stay at the same market penetration. But we digressed a little bit. But
sure,
let me ask you guys this: number one, like, let's go back to the question that like is about this whole topic. Do you guys think there's gonna be another the next generation? And then I put a little caveat question in here. If you do think there's gonna be another console generation, do you think we're gonna see everybody move to the next generation? Right? Like, are we gonna see the Switch, Nintendo go to the next generation? Are we gonna see, PlayStation and Xbox? Or is it only gonna be like is the Switch gonna stay the Switch forever? We're not gonna see another. You know what I'm saying?
So what you're asking is anyone going to drop out of the race?
Or stay in the status quo or something like that? Or what they are currently?
Snap.
Right.
I feel like Nintendo, if anyone is going to stay in the home console market, it's going to be Nintendo for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
They're probably going to change the way it looks some more continuously. Maybe they'll even move to like some weird VR hybrid something, but I think they're always going to be in the home. Xbox, I think we kind of are agreed. They've been on the way out for a while. I think the only one that's kind of hard for me, at least, to get a pulse on is PlayStation. I don't know.
I feel pretty confident PlayStation will stay in.
It'll move to the next generation.
Because whatever Microsoft is doing, like if PlayStation is trying to do the same thing where they're moving into software, they're definitely way behind Microsoft. So they'll stick around longer than Microsoft, if nothing else.
So you guys think that Nintendo, of course, I don't think Nintendo's going anywhere as far as like console goes, right? But
right, yeah.
I don't necessarily know if when PlayStation moves to the next generation, if Nintendo's going to do it like in the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see them having another version of the Switch in the future, but I don't know if they're going to make a new console. Like, that'll be a departure from the GameCube to the Wii to the Wii U to the Switch. I don't.
Oh, you're asking about like revolutionary.
The next generation,
evolutionary.
Yeah, the next step forward. Like, I think I agree with y'all for the most part about like them being console for all of them. Like, I think PlayStation is going to stay in the console war. It's not a war, really. I think Nintendo's going to stick around, and I think that Microsoft is going to fade in the long term. But my
presence, though,
my personal opinion is, I think Nintendo is just going to make a version of the Switch. Like, it'll be a Wii to the Wii U type of Switch.
Oopsie.
But those were super different.
Well, this is what I was going to say. I think it'll be like, in their head, a Wii to the Wii U type, but it's not going to be a departure in like how you play it. I think it's just going to be a Switch Plus. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just going to be have a little bit more beefiness, but it's not going to be Nintendo's normal model, which is a hardcore Switch, right? Like, it's not going to change drastically. I think they're going to stay in the model of the PlayStation, where it's just like an iteration of the next level. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey,
I agree.
Now, I think PlayStation, it will go to the next generation, whatever that means for us itself. I mean, but I think that after that generation, is going to be the one where they're going to be thinking about how you can switch out like hardware components. So you don't have to get a new PlayStation. You just get better components for your PlayStation. So it'll be like the PlayStation like
platform.
like a platform, like, I can get a better GPU or something, or so it'll be like,
so modular console.
Exactly. I think it's going to be a modular console.
That's pretty cool.
Next generation.
I don't know about that. I think cloud gaming is way more likely than modular consoles.
Let's talk about cloud gaming in a second, because I'd like to hear y'all's opinion about that, like how that deals with console. And then finally, my opinion about Microsoft is that there's like a 50% chance that they do a next iteration of the Xbox, but even some of the series, Z, but I think it'll just be like maybe a little bit better hardware, and then from there they're just gonna like completely leave the market, and they're gonna go straight into just like
software.
Yeah, back into software, and maybe they'll have a branded PC SKU or something. Like it'll be like the Xbox box. Like it'll be a desktop that is like Xbox certified, but I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be a console. I just think it'll be a PC device that has Xbox certifications. That's my opinion about the next generation.
Okay.
I could see that, yeah.
Here's my take.
Let's go, baby.
I think everyone's going to stay in the race. So I think you're right that Nintendo, at least this next device, will probably not be it'll be more of an evolution. And then maybe after that, they'll have a revolution again.
Okay.
But there will be a new device, like an actual new console.
A new SKU, like a completely different.
Yeah, not just a Switch OLED plus, but like a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro or something. Actually, a Switch Pro implies that it's the same console but beefier. Yeah. So not that. More like a Switch 2. That'll happen eventually. Hopefully there's a Switch Pro before that, but I doubt it. PlayStation, I agree, will do its thing. It'll just get stronger. Stronger hardware. Better software. Not just on the PlayStation, but I mean like better services. And they'll keep putting out awesome new exclusives. I disagree. I think Microsoft will continue to produce hardware. And you said they'll have like an Xbox certified PC. I think it'll be more than that. It'll be an Xbox. It'll be a console that's cheap to buy, is super powerful, is not just certified to play Xbox games, but is designed to play Xbox games. Because that's something I wanted to mention earlier, and it just never came up yet, which is that consoles do have a few features that make them extraordinarily good at playing games, maybe at the expense of other features, computing. Yeah. Which is, fine. That's what they're there for. So I think they're going to keep doing that. And yeah, it might end up sharing all the same hardware as like a conventional PC. I doubt that. But at the very least, the software is going to be focused on gaming. It won't just be something that it won't just be like Windows 11 with like a theme or something. It'll just be a gaming console. So exclusively game zone. Yeah. It'll be what it is now, which is a really powerful game focused PC for cheap.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe even sold at a loss, which I assume they do now. I don't really know what they do in terms of costs. Yeah, that's my take. Maybe eventually they'll jump out, but I think that the beauty of consoles is something we talked about, which is it's accessible, it's cheap, it's easy for someone to get into without necessarily. It doesn't feel like a PC. It doesn't feel like you're on a computer when you use a console. It's even if it's a glorified media center like software that runs on Windows 11, that's still better than Windows 11, or Windows, I should say. So I think that's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah. And now that you say all that, it kind of has me thinking about who are consoles made for. Like, I think that's going to be the determining factor too. Like in the long run,
they're made for people who want to push one button and play World of Warfare.
World of
Warfare. Yeah, it's going to be when all the game companies buy each other, and it's just going to be
Yo,
one company
entity
producing
100%.
World of Warfare.
I can imagine a movie using World of Warfare as their like fake Call of Duty, like, you know, fake like World of Warcraft game, like World of Warfare. Everybody's playing it, and you know, and the hackers, you know, just some weird game culture game.
Medal of Dota. Yeah.
League of
That's my
Fortnite.
thought.
Triangle NFT. You know,
Ooh.
like
It's just 3 NFTs. Sorry, Kyle, you were talking and I overtook you again.
What was I even saying?
You were saying who are consoles made for?
Oh yeah. So I think that consoles versus PC will always be kind of a thing. You know, as far as consumers are concerned, I don't have any metrics, but I would think that for the next little while at least, there'll be enough people who want to buy consoles to make them worth making by these companies versus getting completely out of the race. As you know, as far as getting their software out there, as well as, you know, continuously having a hold on that market in some capacity.
yeah.
I know there's people that'll never go to PC, and then like if I was younger, I try to consider, you know, if I had to rely on my parents to buy me games, what would they buy me? A PC or a console? You know?
A console.
Probably a
Because they
console.
don't have to think about it. Right?
Yeah.
Like they can just go into GameStop. It's so funny. I went to GameStop recently. Like I was trying to get, I think, Viva Pinata or something. And like old game. And a guy was in there. It seemed like he was maybe in his 50s, early 50s, late 40s. And he walked up to the GameStop guy and he's like, "Hey man, what do I need to buy?" And the guy, and you know, like the GameStop person was like, okay. Are you looking for, you know, he's trying to like figure out, he's like, are you looking for this? Are you looking for that? He's like, look, I got a son and he's little and I'm just trying to buy him a game system because he keeps asking for one. What do I need to get him? And I was like, I feel like that's always going to be a thing, no matter how
Absolutely.
long time exists. Like, because there's people in our generation who aren't gamers, right? Like, who don't care about it, who never have played one, and they're going to have kids that are gamers. And I feel like consoles will always be that place, right? You know, an easy thing for a parent to pick up, and they know that little Timmy will be happy, you know? But you couldn't be sure if you went out and bought a random PC if it's the right one, you know? Like,
How do you even put games on this thing?
exactly. It doesn't have a disc drive. How are we supposed to play these games? I bought you all these PS6 games, and they won't fit in the computer.
I need a monitor too.
What is this? You know,
I mean, my first games were discs, CD-ROM games,
yes.
Ooh.
you know, that my family bought for me. So
Yeah,
that used to be a thing.
Definitely.
No longer.
definitely used to be a thing. I mean, I you know, I think times have changed. I think that the console, like you said, Kyle, like what is the reason? And I think honestly, I just think that it's going to be like PlayStation is going to be for hardcore gamers. Nintendo is going to be for Nintendo gamers. And Xbox is going to be for games. Like, that's it. Like, and it's going to be PC focused more. Like, it's not going to be PC, but I kind of like how you said it, Steve. Like, they're going to have, like, I don't know if they're going to, like I said, I don't, it's a 50-50 to me, but I feel like they are always going to try to make games that are, you know, focused on a particular, like, game. Like, they're going to keep making games, you know what I'm saying? Because it makes them money. But it's just a question of where will they be in the hardware side of it, you know, in the long run, you know. So, okay, one question that I want to talk about the cloud gaming thing. Do you think, like, really think, like, 20, 30 years ago, not ago, in the future, do you think, like, I know it's hard to even imagine this, but, like, do you think there's a world where, like, console gaming doesn't exist? Like, really far in the future, do you think, like, because we're only, like, what, 30 years into gaming, per se, right? Like, digital gaming. like in a real tangible sense. Of course, like 70s, there's game consoles, but like, oh my goodness, it's 30, goodness, 40 years, man. We're in the 2020s.
Yeah, I was thinking it's like more.
We're like about to hit 50 years of like gaming, but like,
Wow.
imagine 50 years from now. Do you think it'll be the same? Like, you know, or will it all just be like, you know, Elon Musk, you know, nerve, whatever it's called, just in our brains, and who needs a console? You know, like.
You might be on. I think you're right. I think we're gonna. This is my worst case scenario in terms of like the fate of humanity. But in terms of gaming, it's pretty cool. Having games, yeah, through like some sort of nerve device, deep dive, but the hardware would probably not be able to run. Well, if it's literally in your skull, it definitely wouldn't be running the game natively. It would probably be streaming it from a cloud.
Just imagine your brain overheating. Not a thing you want to do.
Oops.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you have a really good cooling system built in, so
Dying.
within reason, your brain can handle it.
God gave us the next generation hardware.
Humans are going to start evolving with like low with the ability to just lower your body temp to make up for the extra heat from.
We're just giant heat sinks. Like we just heat sink mode activated. That's the T pose.
No. I just mean
that's the T pose.
I mean like your armpits are just exhausting heat. No, I meant like your metabolism would slow, like to create less
optimal
heat.
design is the T pose. We just haven't tapped into it yet. Yeah.
Da Vinci knew.
He did. Whole diagram.
Multiple armpits.
I think the backs of your knees.
Gotta open this list. People stop wearing underwear.
Would just be blasting out heat like. Sorry, what were you gonna say, Kyle?
So I was gonna try to answer your question, I guess. So the next 30, 50, how many years? I think that games and entertainment, the way we ingest media, is gonna drastically change. But I think it's gonna coexist as long as humanity is humanity and there is an issue with access. Like people are gonna want to play games who can't get into, for any number of reasons, whatever is required to get into these higher level of gaming experiences. Like similar to, I guess, how even the next generation of consoles is difficult, but if people want to get into VR right now, they can't for different reasons.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that if we have these Neurolinks and the like, that console games would be for like the lower end, like entry level gaming, I guess. So I don't know if there would necessarily be new consoles, if that's the question, but I think that console gaming will still be around to facilitate people who want to play games but don't have access.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you guys. I think it's just going to be like, maybe the form factor will change, right? Like if you think about the Switch is just a form factor change, but it's still considered like a console, right? Like it's still, you know, game specific to the console, whatever. I think, yeah, if we ever have a breakthrough in either VR or some other type of way to, I guess you could say, interact with gaming that isn't the way that exists now. Like if it's, like we put projectors on the wall and it projects on our eyeballs or something, you know, or
Fun.
It's a Neuralink, or the interface just changes. Oh, instead of controllers, we put it on our
The
knees.
Connect is back, baby.
You know, we put
DK bongo.
yeah,
drums.
we just lay on our backs and use our back muscles and like, you know, whatever. I think there'll always be, number one, capitalism. So capitalism will, like you said, Kyle, is like, there's going to be people who are like, oh, there's a higher end, right? There's going to always be the like early adopters who have the $10,000 setup and all the bells and whistles. And then there's going to be the normal people who are like, I can only afford $200. and that's only once a year or 300. You know what I'm saying? And that'll be like a different. It'll just be levels, but I do think there'll be the accessible version, and I think there'll be competition. I think there'll be a Microsoft Neuralink, a Tesla Neuralink, and then a PlayStation Neuralink, you know? And they'll have different interfaces, and they'll be competing. We have better neural interface, and the time to action is faster, you know, or, you know, and it'll just
Don't forget about the Meta Neuralink.
I think Meta.
Yeah, well, yeah, jeez, you're right.
That's a whole nother. I have anyway. So yeah, I agree with you guys. I just think the form factor will change, but I think it's going to exist in some capacity, you know.
I think it's funny because right now, even though one of the strengths of consoles is that they're more accessible than PCs, compared to cloud gaming, native console gaming is definitely a premium. It's like, yeah, you'd rather be playing it locally, natively. But I think the biggest issues, the things holding cloud gaming back now are mostly like infrastructure and networking problems, not really a problem with the I mean, there's also moral problems like, oh, do I really own my game, like if I don't even own the hardware that's running it? But yeah, I think what Kyle said, games will become the low end, or consoles will become the low end, right? It'll be eventually cloud gaming will be able to support near instantaneous, you know, lag and huge amounts of CPU, but that running your game, because they'll be out here in these server farms. And so, yeah, I think it'll overtake in terms of the fidelity and the ability to have like lots of people together and other like open world type stuff. I think cloud gaming is going to overtake local console gaming pretty quickly. And, it'll, yeah, like Kyle said, it'll become, oh, this is how you get into gaming. And then when you're ready for the big stuff, you can tap into the cloud and play these real games, you know?
I don't know if I agree with that. I think that like streaming gaming is like, you know, we work in the hybrid world, like with our jobs now, like Zoom and WebEx and all that stuff. But there's still somewhat of a need for us to like interact in person in some engagements. Like, hey, like it's a little bit more efficient to do this type of meeting or to do like a big conference. I think doing a virtual conference like E3 will never be the same as doing it in person. And I 100% agree. And I think that cloud gaming will be similar because you're exactly right in the sense that the limiting factor of cloud gaming isn't really like the games per se or even the servers. Like I think the servers could be just the most beefiest gangster servers ever. But at the end of the day, it's infrastructure, right? It comes down to telecom companies putting in the latest and greatest, right?
It also comes down to having lots and lots of server farms so you can have one close to you and have, you know, very small, because you can't beat physics. Like there's going to be a delay, but if you have everything close to you,
exactly.
You know, if you have a big server farm in every city, major city, like that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, and I think that there's environmental impacts that I think makes that infeasible. And I just think that fundamentally, like cloud gaming, I think will always be the same. I mean, Amazon pretty much gave up on cloud gaming, right? Because
they?
I mean,
I didn't know that.
Amazon games, essentially, that whole thing doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if they've already shuttered it, but they're shuttering it. Like,
I know Stadia.
Yeah, Stadia. That's it. Stadia doesn't exist really anymore.
Oh yeah, Stadia.
Oh no! It does exist, just not for the mass market. They moved to like client devices like Peloton bikes and stuff like that.
And that shows that like as far as like from a gaming perspective, there's always going to be some level of limitations, right? Like I played what's it called? The ICO games, games.
Last Guardian.
The ones before that, like
Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus and ICO, with the cloud gaming with the PlayStation. PlayStation, what's it called now? With PS Now or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And those games were all right. I mean, they didn't look great because, it's like watching like Netflix or something. And, and every once in a while, you get like the like HD version, then you get the 720p and then go back and forth.
Yeah.
But it worked because the game in general isn't like a big like timing based thing. So like the lag was obvious, but it wasn't detrimental, if that makes sense. So that worked. But I just think that there's games that'll never work in cloud gaming. I think that games that are very much about quick response, it doesn't matter how close that server farm is. Like you said, physics is just a thing. And I just think that we'll never be able to defeat physics. And I just think that infrastructure, like AT&T or whatever the companies that do all the laying of wire and fiber, I just don't think they have no benefit to do
They're
it.
not going to prioritize
Exactly. So I just think that cloud gaming will always be a good option for old games and like, playing games that you want to like basically a subpar experience for,
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
I mean, I could definitely see that happening. I think my points were solid, but I think your points are also solid.
I think if there ever was going to be a game that would take over the world, like mainstream, like in these fantasy books and stuff we read where there's one singular game, I think if that was ever going to happen, the game would have to be something that didn't rely on, all these, maybe it could have elements in there with all these quick, fast-paced things, but I think it'd have to be a game that doesn't rely on stuff like that, just for more people to be able to engage with it and wider acceptance.
I kind of feel bad for Stadia because they came too early. Like, technology's not as impressive now as they were hyping it up to be. And it's not as good of an experience as they were hyping it up to be. Plus, they had so much FUD. Like, people immediately were like, oh, Google, what are you doing? Which doesn't help when you're trying to build a platform. And then third, they had a really terrible, like, money-making scheme, whatever gosh, there's a word for this, but the plan was awful. Like, you have to pay a subscription and you have to buy the games, and then you can't play them outside this platform.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
doo-doo.
It was bad.
Yeah. No one, that was a bad idea from start to front.
Yeah.
From front to back.
Yeah, and I think that like gamers, like especially us being like the Netflix generation, I think we're okay with the idea that we don't own stuff. Some things, right? Like
I'm getting there.
Like
yeah.
I don't own Arcane, right? Like I can't. If Netflix goes down, I can never watch Arcane again. I can't. As far as I know, I don't think I can buy Arcane on DVD or anything or Blu-ray. Can I? I don't think you can.
No,
right?
you're right.
So like
I don't know.
That's interesting.
We're kind of okay with the idea of like borrowing, and not really owning. I think that works for some games. I think that games like, say, like Elden Ring, I don't think people would be okay with that, like, and I think that fundamentally, if I'm not going to own a game, then I should be paying less for it. That's how I feel about it. Right. Like,
yeah.
And if I had to pay for everything on Netflix, like a la carte, I wouldn't have Netflix. Like, oh, you have to pay $5 for this, $1 for this. Like
I am so resistant to renting movies on these different platforms because of that same reason. Like they give you so much for free, and then all of a sudden there's something that's, all of a sudden premium, and it hurts to see it. It's like I don't want to pay for that.
I actually don't have a problem renting movies because if I'm renting a movie, it means I could not find it anywhere, and I'm not about to pirate it. So I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll rent it. I'll pay the $5 or $4.
And I think
preferably hardware though. But.
Yeah, and I think the renting still falls within that paradigm. We're not owning it, right? Like, it's temporal. Like we had to return it to Blockbuster anyway.
And but I like what Kyle was saying, right? It feels scummy to pay for something after already paying for a subscription.
It hurts.
But I'm sure not going to pay Netflix for something premium. Like if I'm renting something, it's not from Netflix. It's from Redbox or YouTube,
Amazon, or even Amazon.
Amazon, yeah, sure. Well, that actually does irritate me. I don't have. Well, Keisha has Prime. We don't really use it that much, but like, bruh, why would I rent from Amazon? I'm already paying for Prime. Just give it to me.
Right. Yeah, the Prime Video.
And I think I have a problem with buying, like funny enough, when I like, you know, certain movies, like you said, Kyle, like aren't streamable and you have to pay for them, and like the rent cost is like $7 and the buy cost is $8. Like,
yeah,
it's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it. Number one, Amazon's smart because Amazon knows that that's what's gonna happen, and they know that you're not gonna watch it again. But they're making $1, you know, an extra $1 that they wouldn't make. So it's a very smart idea. It's like really, really smart to make those prices close to each other. But like, I'm okay with buying sometimes if it's not something that I care about losing. You know, it's like, I don't want to, like, I think I've shared this like 10 times on different episodes. Like, I really want Ghost in the Shell standalone complex so badly.
Oh my gosh.
And
dude, I was so disappointed recently. Please continue.
And I could buy it digitally on some random platforms, but I won't do that. I want the physical copy because I want to own it. I want to take it. I don't have to want to think about the internet connection or where I am. I just want to be able to plug it in a device and play it as physically, you know, as physical as that is. But
even if you don't watch the DVDs, there's something different about just having it on your shelf.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, heck, dude, if you buy it digitally, I would have no qualms just ripping it, finding some software 100%. And downloading it on a hard drive and just having that.
100%.
Sure.
I would have to do it that way.
Yeah, exactly. I would have to do that. I can't just. I have a few movies I own on like YouTube or something. Maybe I should do that. I would feel better about it.
You already bought them.
Yeah. To be clear, this is stuff I own or stuff that I've paid for. I'm not suggesting. I'm just going to start ripping random movies.
I think people would probably have their hesitations about that, but think about the inverse. If they just decided to pull it off of the platform one day after you already paid for it, like, is that better?
What are they going to do? Give me a coupon?
Yeah, I mean, this is an issue that's already ongoing. I mean, in consoles, and particularly consoles, and with particular developers. People talk about this from a what do you call it? A historical what do you call it? Like a museum, like archivist standpoint.
Yeah.
That a lot of the games that exist now will never be able to be played again. You know? And that is like a historian, like the worst possible scenario, right? Because there's no way to document it other than to from a, what do you call it? Like second party
archive.
You know, like you can write about it, right? But you won't ever have first hand information about this thing.
And have YouTube videos of people playing them.
Yeah, like it's never firsthand. You can never play it again. Like, hey, you can go to a video game museum and play the Virtual Boy. It's trash, and you're gonna get a headache, and a headache. You're gonna get a headache, but you can play it. But let me tell you this: once Guild Wars servers goes offline, you'll never be able to play that stuff again, unless you somehow break into their place and are able to steal stuff from their servers. Right? Like, it is gone, you know, forever. And I just think that that's fundamentally just not something I'm okay with, you know, things that I purchase, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very much interested, like, in consoles in the next steps, because, I mean, honestly, I can't think of a reason why I personally buy the next set of consoles. Like, I got the PlayStation 5 kind of more or less because I was lucky, but, you know, I don't know what it would take for me to get a PlayStation 6. I guess, you know, let's ask this last question here. Here we go. You know, wait, go ahead.
I had a last question I was going to ask. Now I feel like,
go for it.
Well, are you cool? Are you cool if I steal your question?
Hey, I'm cool. I mean, hey,
got time for both.
We got time for both, baby.
All right. Maybe we can just talk and then we can decide whether we answer. So we were going to talk about what a console needs to bring to the table to like entice me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've touched on this before, but one thing I wanted to bring, well, we touched on it earlier in the episode. We were talking about, oh, I want games or I want coverage or something. I feel like something we didn't talk about is a cool feature that would actually be really beneficial for consoles is supporting virtual reality. Like, well. And we're kind of at that point with PlayStation VR.
Definitely the closest.
VR 2 actually is coming out soon.
That's the word on the street.
Or it's already out.
It's already out?
No, it's not.
I don't know.
It's not out. It's not out. It's
okay. It's not out.
I'm looking forward to
I
that.
assume Xbox has some kind of. I don't know. Do they? Is there anything for Xbox?
No, there's nothing.
That seems like a major oversight on Microsoft's part.
It does.
Don't they own Holo?
HoloLens, yeah, but I don't think it's.
I mean, that's not for gaming, but. Okay, well, anyway.
But you make a good point because
supporting...
HoloLens was shown on the E3 stage like a few years ago. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so VR, making it accessible at a low cost and supporting that with PlayStation games or Xbox games. I mean, obviously PC can do that too, but PCs are expensive. The hardware can also be expensive, or you could get it from Facebook. God bless you. Yeah, I think consoles are where VR can really shine. Although, you know, again, PC, if you have the money for it, you could probably get some sick VR experiences on PC.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, were you about to say something, Kyle?
No, I was going to say I agree with the point about, especially probably one of the easiest ways to get VR into the home is through console. Because even the VR peripherals that you get for your console, from what I understand, are cheaper than if you already had a PC and then got VR peripherals for that. And then, from what I've heard, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to try it myself, but in comparison, PSVR was top tier as far as what was available around, you know, the Oculus, and you know, in comparison, like the PSVR experiences were superior.
Yeah, I think this just comes down to the problem of just like it's a peripheral, like you were just saying, like for a PlayStation. I think the only way that the VR becomes a thing that can like easily be attached to like consoles is if it doesn't feel like you're paying more for it, right? Like I would have a PSVR if I didn't have to pay more money for it, just to be honest. Like why not have it? And why not play it with people? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a cool thing. Like, it's super cool.
Yeah.
But like, I just can't in my head, like, even if it was $50, it would be hard for me to justify buying it for some reason. Like, I don't know why. That's just weird. But like,
really?
Yeah.
Like, even if there were like good games for it?
Yeah, because
that would probably be the difference maker. Like the ROI for investing in VR just isn't quite there yet.
I feel like if they had done this, if they tricked me and they went like, don't do different SKUs of the same thing, right? Like, you know how like, you know, you buy a console and it might be like, oh, if you buy this one, it comes with the legendary pack that has 2 controllers and blah, 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 right? Like, so I know that I'm paying more. Like, if the baseline model of a console came with VR, I'm all in. Like, even if it cost $100 more, but I knew that was the baseline. Like, I couldn't get a cheaper version, then I'd probably buy it. You know what I'm saying? But I think if there's 2 different versions, and one with it and one without it, and I can see the demonstrable price difference, it messes with my head. I can't explain it to you, but it's just real. Like, I can't think of a situation where I've ever bought the bonus edition of any console, because I just can't. No, like, I'm not paying more money unless it's the base level and it's the same price.
Well, usually, a lot of times those bonuses are very superficial. So I'd imagine if you had bought one before, you probably got burned on it, because they do say all these exclusive things, and maybe it has a little bit more hard drive space, makes some different noises whenever you hit the buttons or whatever. But ultimately, it's the same experience, but it just costs you more. So
you know what?
Totally
I did get the PS4 with the Nathan Drake collection, but it was like a sale kind of thing. So it was basically the same price. It was just, you know, and it was like like 3 games or whatever. Like, that's not a big deal. Well, I mean, technically, they're all $60 games when they first came out. But, like, hardware doesn't go down in price like games do, So,
Yeah.
No.
So, yeah, I would love to see that, actually. I would love for it just to be, like, ubiquitous. A console, you get VR. That is adoption right there. And we already know that, like, console makers always sell their consoles at a loss. I think this generation might be the only one where they don't sell it at a loss. I'm not 100% sure, but pretty much up until now, for sure, every console was sold at a loss. So if you thought about it as like, this is just a part of the loss and we can make more money in software sales, but maybe they don't see themselves selling more VR software, So maybe that's why.
What if they asked you? What if there was a bundle that came with VR and one that came without, but they were the same price?
I'd get the VR, 100%.
Well, I know you would, but I'm like, do you think that's a good idea? Would people choose not to have VR?
Well, no, I don't think so. Unless it was like,
I think people would. I think people would choose not to have VR just to not deal with the hassle of having the extra hardware.
Yeah, because I'm like, if some people are probably very uninterested in VR games, and if I know for sure that I'm not going to get a VR, I'm going to be like, and they're going to be on sale. Like you'll be able to buy them either from the manufacturer or from the gray market, pretty cheap.
But I just
if you
don't
decide
see
later.
Why, like, I mean, I get it. Like, if you know that you're never going to use VR or you get motion sick, maybe you wouldn't waste your time. But at the same time, it's like, if I go somewhere and they say, hey, you buy one, get one free, I'm not going to leave my free one on the rack. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my free one, even if I'm not going to use it because it's free. It's just human.
I mean, I personally feel the same. I know some people.
I mean, there'd be a small
I know people
percentage.
on both sides of the coin, too.
I think a very small percentage wouldn't take it, but I think just like a small percentage people would ask people to punch them in the face for free or something. Like, there's always going to be crazy people. No disrespect to people out there.
That sounds like a logical fallacy. I don't know which one it is, but that sounds.
My point is, there are people who are always going to take the worst option, even when there's a better option. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't matter.
That's fair.
I guess better in this case it would still be subjective. Like, better because you get more doesn't always appeal. That was my point.
Yeah.
Because it could genuinely be more complex for them to get more.
Well, why not get more and then just sell the VR for like $12 and make you some money? To me, I just don't see any scenario.
You have a plan. Like, it's not more complex for you. Like, I think you have a structure to deal with it, even if you don't want it. Whereas I think there are some consumers who know what they want, and to get something outside of that would just confuse them.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me ask another question. If they did force you, for example, PlayStation to get PSVR with it, do you think some people wouldn't buy PlayStation 5 because they have to get the VR?
No. They would buy it, and they would either give it away or throw it away or sell it. Likely, a lot of people would throw it away because I assume that there would be not much demand since you can get one.
It'd be the Xbox Connect situation all over again.
Right. It would just sit around. Except the Connect didn't take up that much space, so it's okay if you don't throw it away. But VR headset is a little harder to keep around.
It's a helmet, it's a hat. Yeah, I mean, I just honestly think that, I mean, I guess it wouldn't make sense to me why you would do both, but that's an interesting thought. I mean,
I don't think it would make marketing sense if you're going to give them away anyway. I mean, maybe they'd save a little bit of money. Well, they'd already manufacture them, so they wouldn't save any money that way.
At scale, I mean, it just doesn't really make sense at that point. But
I think, I mean,
it's a question. I get you.
I made the suggestion with like, I don't know. It's a goofy suggestion. I'll just say that. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean,
from a marketing standpoint.
Yeah, no, but I get what you're saying. I mean, honestly, I feel y'all. I know some people, like, I know there's probably something in that I would not choose. Like, if I could know that I'd get some free, like, sunglasses with a hat, I would turn down the sunglasses because I don't wear sunglasses. And it's just another thing that I'll have to deal with. So I totally get that mentality. But I feel like a person who's in the market for buying a console, like, why not? Like, it just seems like a very small like unlikely thing to happen. But I agree with you guys, but I also just think it, humans aren't logical, so
yeah. Those kind of hit the same note to me, because I think if you're selling a hat with sunglasses, you're making an assumption about your consumer, and so the VR headset would make a similar assumption that they intend to be on the cutting edge of gaming. When maybe it's that one person we were talking about earlier. They were in there. My son sent me in here because I need to buy him a console, and then the guy's trying to say, "Well, you can get a headset with it too." Then that dad would probably be like, "No, just give me the console."
Yeah, but it'd probably be out of. Here's another question.
I would definitely buy just a hat if it was a hat and sunglasses combo, or just a hat. I would buy just that.
So think of, let's use something more, maybe like less of a gap, but like you're buying a Nintendo Switch and they give you an option to get a Pro controller. Like you can get the normal console, which with the Switch controllers, the whatever, or you can get the same thing, same price, but you also get a Pro controller, right? Like. That's, to me, maybe more what it would be like, because I think, like, if they're getting to the point where they're trying to sell VR with a console, it'll probably be, like, people will know it well enough that it just makes sense, Like,
yeah, has to.
But I do think you guys are right in the sense that some people would turn down the free Pro controller. They'd be like, I'm not going to use it,
Especially if you already had a Pro controller for some reason.
Well, imagine they don't, right? Like, it's just...
Or if you intend to play it only in handheld, you'll never use it.
Like,
definitely, there's a whole lot of variables,
Yeah, so I feel you guys. I'm just being me, so I apologize.
Nah, it's good food for thought.
So I guess, my last question was going to be, like, and Steve, actually, you kind of already asked it, but like, what would it take?
Good job, Steve.
For you to get the next generation of console, right?
So a PS6 or an Xbox,
if PS7
Continuum,
yes, or a Switch. I don't know what it's
Switch 2. I'm calling it out. It's going to be called Xbox Continuum. That's the next.
I think it's going to be called Xbox Box.
Xbox Box.
It just
Xbox on box.
Well, I do want to give a shout out to the boy Soyram, because he dropped some thoughts in the Discord, and something that is interesting, because just thinking about, for me, answering this question is, I kind of agree with where Soy basically said, like, he's afraid that, like, the consoles generations will become like phones, where it's just like a constant, like, hardware cycle,
just assault of hardware. You have to buy a new one every year.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you get an iPhone 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5, and it just happens year after year after year. And I think it's a little bit harder from a console standpoint to do that, but
I agree.
But I do think, like, if it's just another like, it's just a hardware cycle, there's no way I can justify in my head getting a PS6, like, I think that even, I'll say this again, I'm pretty sure I would not have a PS5 if it wasn't just because I felt like I couldn't miss the opportunity, because it's like, getting gold, right? Like, I had to get it because I knew I'd never get it again, but there's a good chance that I'd still just have a PS4, because to me, it's just like better hardware. Like, I can play every game that's on it on my PS4. I feel like the only way that I would get a PS6 is if it felt like I can't play anything on my PS5 on a PS6, or the other way around, vice versa. Yeah. I have to feel like the PS6, it's kind of like the idea of a VR, like why VR is so interesting and why it's cool. You can't really experience VR in any other type of way, right? So I feel like in order for me to get the next generation, it has to be like GameCube to the Wii. You know what I'm saying? PlayStation 2 to the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4. There was such a large difference that, like, it was undeniable. Like, you just have a completely different experience. That's the only...
Are you saying that you care about major graphical upgrades and stuff like that?
I don't think it's graphical upgrades to me. Like, that's not super important. I think let's use the GameCube to the Wii. I think it's just that I can't play Wii games on the GameCube. Like,
so it's exclusive.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's just that like the interface is so different. The controller, the hardware and the graphics might be a reason for that difference. But really, it just has to be like, if, for example, if the PS6 was a VR console, right? Like, it fundamentally was like, hey, all games that exist on the PS6 have VR compatible, and they're made in a certain way that it can't run on the PS5. Okay, like,
what if that wasn't the case? What if they just said it could totally run on a PS5, but we're not going to sell it to you on the PS5? If it was artificial constraint.
If it's artificial in the sense that like they're just being jerks and not doing it.
Yeah, like for you, practically it's the same problem. I can't play this. I have to buy the next console. But I'm curious.
I think it would be like pretty much the same. Like if they told me Bugsnax I couldn't play on the PS4, then yeah, like Bugsnax 2 was only available on the PS6, even though it could run on the PS5. I'd probably buy a PS6.
Okay. Yeah. That's how I feel. Although like I said, there haven't been a lot of games. I am tempted. I've been more and more tempted over time to upgrade to PS5, not just for the games that would play better, but also for like, I want to experience that load speed. Mm-hmm. I want to play with the controllers. There's a few hardware features that I'm like excited about, but really it's just the fact that these games are coming out and they're being backported. It feels like they're being backported, but I want a better visual experience.
So you're saying that the PS6 would have to be a much better visual experience than the PS5 in order for you to consider buying it?
I think this jump, that makes sense, but for the next jump, it doesn't make sense because I'm like, I have a 4K TV, barely.
Barely.
And we're at 4K. Like this PS5 is 4K, so I'm like, what are you going to do past that? Go up to 8K? I will not care. I'm not buying an 8K TV.
And your eyes really won't be able to differentiate that well.
No.
Yeah. And I'm like, do I care about high refresh rates? Not on this current TV, but even with a better TV, like past a certain point, I'm not going to buy a new console just for that. If I really need high refresh rates, that's why I have the PC.
What if everything looked like a UE5 or I guess maybe UE6 tech demo? Like the highest.
If all the new games look like that,
all of them, every single one,
that'd be boring.
Even the ones that play on the PS5, they just look that much better on the PS6.
Yeah, like Bugsnax would look like what it looks like now on the PS5, but on the PS6 it would look like Matrix, whatever. Yeah,
that would definitely be something where if I could play an old Tomb Raider game and the console somehow up-reses it to 4K.
With artificial intelligence,
gives her shapes and curves instead of just angles. Like, yeah, that'd be sick.
I'm just gonna note like the way that you, especially because it's Tomb Raider, and you said if they give her shapes and curves instead of angles. I just think it's funny that was just.
Well, I say that because Tomb Raider is like
it's notorious,
famously low polygon.
Yes, but
and it would be very impressive.
That would be a miracle.
It'd be a miracle, right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Polygonal assets. Yeah, they're all like
polygonal assets.
3D models. I kind of share the sentiment you made earlier, Breston, about the PS5 kind of being in this weird like gold rush type of a state. I think that's that's pretty much the reason why I have one too, is because it was randomly like posted that they were going to be on Amazon, and I grabbed, it went to my cart. I was like, you know what? Let's see if this is going to work, and then I got one. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, if not from just sheer luck, I don't think I would have one either, because even having it, there isn't a whole lot of reason to have one, if I can be completely honest, because a lot of things are available on PS4, and it's really kind of damaging, I guess, the consideration I'm going to take, or not informing, I should say, not damaging, the consideration I'm going to take for the PS6. Mm-hmm. Especially if it's a similar type of rollout where there's scarcity, then I can definitely see myself not being on the bandwagon.
It's so not worth the trouble. Dude.
It's not, and so unless there's just a tremendous amount of value that I perceive from it, I can't see myself getting the next generation of console. If PC games continue at the rate they're going, as far as, I guess, just how much they're offering competitively, I guess, to console games. I won't have a reason to have a console in a while.
We won't have a reason. I'm sure other people will, but I'm with you.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting. So, Steve, you said something that like piqued my interest that I'd never thought about. Well, let me say this first. You know what's really honest? If you guys didn't play PC games, I'd probably never play them, because it's just like it's never.
That's fair.
It's just like also I think it's because like I also have like hand issues growing up. Like my hands will like lock up and like hurt and stuff. So I think like the PC is just not as accessible to me from like a purely physical standpoint. But you guys have kind of helped me to play PC games. And now that I can play with the controller on the PC, like I'm cool with it. But it's interesting. Like without you guys, I probably wouldn't be playing PC games like ever. But it's something you said interestingly, and I never thought about this. And I don't know, you should get on the team, bruh, Steve, for this idea of the AI. Like, and I think Kyle, you said it. Like this idea of like AI being integrated into the system in some way to like automatically up-res games to like this next level. Like, wouldn't that be wild if like the
people are doing that?
Oh yeah,
you know, like.
I was the one who said
it was like,
yeah, you brought it up.
Yeah, and then you said something about AI. You know, like, I mean, it's just
that
it'd be crazy.
Huge.
Like, it's kind of like the whole Photoshop thing where it can like, which just mind blowing, like figure out what the background or what something was supposed to look like, or it can up-res things like really well because of AI. Like,
so someone did that with Grand Theft Auto, and it looks ridiculous.
Yeah,
they can only do it for a couple of frames, but it's rendering in real time. And
maybe not AI, because I feel like there's weird implications to that. There's probably a lot of people who would complain that, oh, it's not as intended. But like maybe instead of porting the game, Sony just sells like a texture pack, right? And you emulate the game at a higher resolution, and then you use this high res texture pack. I say emulate, but whatever. You play the game at a high resolution, you up-res it. And so you don't have to like do a bunch of crazy stuff with like new lighting. Maybe it just automatically adds texture packs. That would be sick.
I think that's where I think the only way you do that efficiently and economically is with AI. You know, like you just have a ridiculous model set, like, and
that's fine. But maybe you could buy texture packs from people who actually like care and put time into them and stuff. Or studios could re-release texture packs for their old games.
So with UE5, everybody's going to be scanning their world, so we could just use those high-res models.
Just use the phone app to scan your PlayStation 2, and it'll just figure it out, right? You just point it at your TV screen, and then it'll just, I think that's the future.
If everyone in the world scanned nonstop in their day-to-day, we'd have a full 3D model of the whole world.
Instead of a character creator, you just scan your own face and you mint it as an NFT, and then you can import yourself into any game.
Into NFT games.
But what if somebody buys you? Like
if somebody, I mean, you can't just be bought. You have to sell yourself. Right? So
I guess.
Well, you know,
I mean, you'd be on the blockchain or whatever now, and
I'm joking. That is a problem.
Just like that,
you could definitely scan somebody else's face.
We're back to buying and selling humans. Good.
I mean,
as God intended.
Unreal. Listen,
Unreal.
Epic, particularly. Let's talk to Epic. Look, what y'all need to do is what Steve or who just said it. Hiring some people, if they just nonstop just scanned everything, we'd have the whole world. I don't know who just said that, but what y'all need to do is hire some interns, and
make sure they're very low paid interns.
They can barely survive, so they have to keep working.
No health insurance.
No, you need to give them some health insurance because you're going to be working them to the bone. So they gotta live, right? Or I guess you could just buy new intern. Oh, not buy.
just buy a pizza party every
that'll
every
work.
month.
Yeah, that's like going to the doctor.
Sufficient
fuel. A pizza a week.
A pizza party a month keeps the doctor away.
But just get them to scan like a city or a space, like just some big project where they just do it constantly and then like release it. Like that'd be wild. People would be like, "Whoa!" I just do it, and then have a VR experience where you can, go to the Sistine,
walk around outside,
go to the Sistine Chapel in full UE5 graphics.
Now that would be ridiculous.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's it. You win.
You win.
You win. That sounds apocalyptic.
You are winning.
That's the future. I mean, come on, Neuralink. Like, eventually, that don't sound apocalyptic. UE5 VR.
And it needs to be working physics systems with fire, so I can set pieces of wood on fire.
Exactly. But you won't really. It won't. You can get that out of you, so you don't have to worry about burning down real places.
Man, I cannot wait. Cannot wait for the first news article talking about somebody vandalizing the metaverse Sistine Chapel by putting, I don't know, Joe Biden's face on a cherub.
You know
or
what
something.
they're gonna put on there. It's not gonna. It's gonna be the universal sign that people use to deface
disrespect.
What happened when they opened up the ability for people to make levels in Super Smash Bros. You know exactly what was made within the first 5 seconds.
Two circles and an oval.
They're gonna have like pools closed,
and they're like, we'll use artificial intelligence, and then people just get smarter. They just start doing it in 3D, like with depth, so that.
That's truly the human evolution, right? Like we've stopped evolving as a species, but we're going to continue evolving because we always have to outsmart the AI that's running the metaverse.
And there are always
we'll innovate when it tries to keep us from vandalizing.
Yes, vandalizing in that particular manner is the forefront of like how technology advances. Right? Like, we continue to make better technology to thwart the threat of that vandalism. Like, we are a better species because of people vandalizing.
Because of trolls.
Non-stop effort.
Thanks, 4chan.
I bet you that's been...
Thanks for nothing.
It moves civilization forward.
I bet you that's been happening. I bet you that's been happening since, like, the 1500s. Like,
absolutely.
On some monolithic structure somewhere, like from like 200,000 BC. It's like
it's in mud.
It's in mud. But yeah. I mean, it's clear to us the consoles are going nowhere. If they're going anywhere, they're going directly into our spinal cord. So the best graphics you'll ever see.
The last graphics you'll ever
see.
Yes. The only graphics you need to see. So I guess as we wrap up, you guys have any final thoughts about the console or anything else that you forgot?
Now that you've said it, I'm really looking forward to the new PS VR, whatever that's going to be. I need to look into that now.
The PSVR too.
Yeah, I'm curious about it.
Yeah, it's just supposed to be better. I mean, it's...
Especially if you can use it on PC, I might buy it.
Ooh.
I wonder if they would do that though. Like,
I doubt it.
Wouldn't that
I
basically
doubt,
undercut? Well, I mean,
PS4
I guess it would
VR
sell more.
Wasn't compatible.
I guess it would sell more, right?
Yeah, it would sell more.
Like, at the end of the day, I guess it wouldn't be a detriment. But if you're trying to keep people in your ecosystem, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm just not trying to pay $1,000 for an index. I would love an index, but I'm not trying to pay $1,000 for it.
Oh, if you still lived in Louisiana, I'd be able to get you one for $550.
I mean, how much could like a nice VR set cost? Like what, $10?
What? A nice VR set?
$10
set of what?
$10 of vibranium? Like, what do you say? Like, I don't know.
10 slips of latinum.
I don't know what you're saying.
Pay somebody $10 to slap you into virtual reality.
I can make that real reality real quick. You don't even need virtual. Wait, Kyle. Let me just make one point.
Uh-oh.
You know that somebody can buy something in another state and just it's shipped to them. So
yeah, but this transaction it'd be more difficult.
Oh, this fell off a truck. I see. I got you.
No,
the back of the truck. I got you.
Private seller.
Oh, private
He
seller.
found it inside a dead donkey.
It just
barely used.
It just happened to come out of a warehouse.
Look, man, do you want it or not?
Come meet me here at the airport.
My final words for the show is if anyone has an extra PlayStation 5
just sitting on one
and is willing to sell at MSRP,
there you go.
There you go. I was gonna say there's plenty of scalpers.
Yeah, if you got $850
I'm not trying
lying around.
I'm not trying to feed the market.
$1,500. They got you. They got you
all day long.
I'm looking for the friends and family discount on the scalpers.
You're not getting the controller or the wires
or a hard drive. You're gonna get it.
It's just a shell. They're gonna look good.
You know, matter of fact, the guy Matt, his little like calling card. Anytime he did it, sent out a thing and people bought them and they showed him, hey, I bought one. I really got one. Thanks, Matt. He would say another day that we didn't buy it from scammers or something like that. Like his whole thing is like, don't do it. Don't buy it from these scalpers. Like it's his like, that's the message he preaches.
They'll send you a box of rocks.
They really will. And you ain't getting that much. And they'll ask you to do it via NFTs or Bitcoin. So you're never getting that money back. You know,
never.
So my last comment is that it's actually a promise that I want to make to you guys and to our Super Agile family and our Super Agile Nation. Next episode, we will be covering The Last Airbender.
No, we will not. That is not a promise.
That is a promise.
Can we veto that promise?
No, you can't. It's already out there. And
let's have a vote.
I'm going to edit it into the beginning, in the middle, in the end, so that everybody's here multiple times. Now,
I mean, I don't mind if people hear it. I'm just letting you know that it's not going to happen.
Don't get your hopes up, folks.
Not going to be available to watch it this week.
Well, I am saying that we are going to make this happen as soon as humanly possible.
There you go. I'm down. I'm down with that.
As soon as Steve gets his mind right.
In a couple of months.
So just know,
I'm telling you, it's right there. It's on the TV. It's right next to the TV on the PlayStation. It's ready to watch.
Just know that the reason you're not getting this episode is because of Steve, and it's all his fault. So
I don't think anyone is mad about that.
Well, we'll see.
They're enraged.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Look at the torches and pitchforks.
If you'd like Steve's address so you can dox him, please just reach out to me on Twitter.
It'll be in the description.
I like how you're offering to let people dox me, but you yourself would be doxing me.
Yes. I'd be the third party doxing. I wouldn't be doing it per se. I wouldn't. I'd be doxing you, but our fans would be swatting you. That's what would happen. That's what. No, really, don't do that to anybody. You're gonna.
I have a sword at my desk.
And the SWAT team has guns. So good luck with that.
He can deflect them.
Oh, you're the anime.
Haven't you seen? Haven't you watched it?
Just they feel your
guns are worse.
My bedtime is about to come up. They feel
your killing intent when they're
knock this out
outside the door. But anyway, yes. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this. Listening. I always say watching, but listening to this episode of Super Agile Bros. I want to thank the brothers themselves. Thank you, Kyle, for your time. Thank you for sharing.
Always a pleasure.
And
yes, sir.
Thank you, Steve, for your time and sharing your insights.
Yeah.
And we always look forward to.
Thank you, Brad.
Oh.
Thank you, Brad, for running the show and being such an egregious host.
Yes, making the promises that need to be made. Yes, I'm always here. But really, just thank you guys for watching. Thank you, gals, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, follow us on Twitter, the SAB Podcast. And of course, you can hear us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, everywhere. Honestly, just Google search us, Super Agile Bros. We will show up. We're at the top of the listings, y'all. Before, we were buried. Google didn't want this to happen, but we persevered. So anyway,
we beat the algorithm.
We are the algorithm. So thank you guys. Thank you everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to next time. Until next time, y'all take it easy. Peace.